Welcome back, everyone. This is the 15th video sharing pictures from our trip to Japan. Hope you enjoy. Knowing it was a travel day, we woke up early and rode the subway to the train station. Since we arrived a little early, I played some Pokemon Red on my Game Boy Color as we waited. After boarding the Shinkansen, I was tired and started to take a nap, but then remembered I'd planned to write our letters that day. So I started writing them, but the Shinkansen got to Mishima so quickly that I didn't get through all of them in time. Oh yeah, I finally get to tell you about the travel plans for getting to Fujikawaguchiko. So the train doesn't go all the way to that town because it's so small. So what we had to do was take the Shinkansen from Nagoya to Mishima and then transfer to what they called an express bus or a liner bus. I would equate it to a Greyhound bus, since it takes people from one city to another and even has a bathroom in it and tray tables like an airplane, but much roomier. We got off the train in Mishima and located the place to get the eki stamp. However, it was outside of the ticket gate, and after going out the ticket gate, we found out that it put us on the wrong side of the station to catch the bus. A guard said we would have to go out of the station and go around, but as we started to do that, we realized it was several blocks away before we could pass under the tracks. So we decided to go back and try to go through the station, figuring that the ticket gate would recognize that we hadn't actually ridden the train after entering the second time, since it would be so quick. Turns out we were wrong. If you exit the same station you entered, it will try to charge you for a full-length ride, as if you got on at that station, rode around, and came back. Thankfully, we were able to explain what happened to the fare adjustment lady, and she got us through. We had a little time before the bus was due to pick us up and decided to grab some lunch. We walked a little ways, but our first choice was closed, despite it being during their posted open hours, and also too small for us to get in with our bags. We walked back towards the station and found a very nice sushi place. Their presentation was top-notch and it tasted great. Back at the station, we waited through a couple of buses picking up people at our stop before our express liner came in. The ride was full of beautiful views of Fujisan most of the way after the midpoint, and the bus driver announced when views were coming up and which would be the best. I'd reserved seats on the Mount Fuji side of the bus, both there and back, so we had a good position to catch all the views. Upon arrival in Fujikawaguchiko, rather than take a bus or taxi to the hotel, we opted to walk the 30 minutes, despite the wheels on my suitcase showing signs of stress from our trip. It just looked too pretty to pass up. Pretty much every 2 minutes, we had to stop and take pictures because the views of Fujisan kept getting better and better. Every time we thought there's no way it could get better, and it did. We found that you could see Fujisan from almost anywhere in town. We thought that at any point we would turn off to the hotel and lose sight of the majestic mountain, but it never happened. Our hotel was much closer to Mount Fuji than the station was, and the view was spectacular, despite some overhead power lines. The host's eyes got real big when I spoke just a little Japanese to him. He took us up into our room, which was actually a full-on studio apartment. The building must have been apartments before it was converted to a hotel. The only thing it was missing was the stove, which had definitely been there at one point since the hood was still over the kitchenette area. The host showed us the view of Fujisan from the window, which was mostly obscured by the neighbor's cherry tree, plus our very own laundry machine, and a bathroom that was larger than the entire room we had at the first hotel back in Tokyo. There was also a bookshelf full of manga, which I perused every day of our stay. The hotel also had bikes that guests could borrow, so we borrowed them to explore. We rode over to one of the 5 nearby lakes to simply admire the view, and it was beautiful. From the far side of the lake, Fujisan loomed large over the town. There was also a small shrine out in the lake that appeared to only be accessible some of the time, depending on the tide. It had some amazing history, with a monk having constructed the original hundreds of years prior. It was destroyed by a great flood many years ago, and then the town decided to rebuild it. the sun started to dip beneath the horizon, we wandered back through the park at the edge of the lake. Since it was dinner time and this town was much smaller than the cities we'd visited, we didn't want to wander too far before grabbing a bite. So we stopped at an onigiri restaurant. The meals were simple: onigiri, soup, salad, and karaage. I also tried a sake tasting set with local sakes. Finally, we rode back towards the hotel. This was the only hotel that didn't have free breakfast, although there was complimentary cup of ramen. So we picked up some breakfast pastries at the konbini before turning in for the night. Well, that's it for this video. If there's anything you want to know more about, put it in the comments below. I'll post the next video tomorrow, so make sure to like and subscribe for more.